Hi, and welcome back to the Bad Back Gardener. In this video, we're going to get back to gardening. I've kind of been away from it, if you haven't noticed. I was on a trip to Alaska, if you've caught some of those videos, but I haven't filmed from the garden for almost a month now. So in this video, we're going to give you a progress of the raised bed garden, show you what's going on in it. So we'll get started with that. Okay, you're going to have to excuse some of the weeds and stuff of the garden. I'm still trying to catch up since I got back from my vacation. We've had a ton of rain, and it's been, the weeds have just been growing like crazy, as has been the garden, which is good for the garden, but also good for the weeds, so they've been growing like crazy. So I'm still trying to catch up. The garden's not as neat as what I would like to see it, but let's get started with our tour here, and we'll start down here. These are the potatoes. They grew up really high. I kept them covered with the row cover just to try and keep the bugs off them too much. Some of them have grown out. It actually grew so tall that it flopped over. So they kind of all lay into this side over here, and the cover's kind of coming off on this side, but that's them. And then in this bed here, tomatoes have gone crazy, and they're growing really well, getting big. The plants are sprawling everywhere. I have tied them back once, but they need tied up again here. It's got a lot of tomatoes coming. These are the early tomatoes that I started. As you can see, you might be able to see in there, and there's some in the back here as well. Got some ripe ones. I'm starting to get ripe tomatoes finally, which is kind of late for me, particularly. I like to have my tomatoes early June, sometimes even the end of May, but did not happen this year with the weather and stuff. Got some snap peas growing here. They need picked very bad. Got a few of those. We got two different kinds. There's a purple kind, which is a magnolia pea, if you've seen that video of me planting. And then we got the super sugar snack peas. They're doing well. They've actually grew up too high above the fence I planted them on. Now they grew up so high they blew over this way. So they're all kind of on the same side. There's a few on the other side, but they're still growing. They're just now growing down instead. So we'll walk over here, and there, of course, the green onions I planted in with them are doing really good. Been picking those. The radishes that I planted in there are all done and gone. It's been too hot now. They're long gone. Still have some turnips. Still picking some turnips. This is the first group of turnips that I planted. They're pretty. The ones that are left, either if they're small enough, I can still eat them, but some of the bigger ones have gotten a little bit wormy and getting a little bit hard to eat. So, and then we got the lettuce, which we have picked some of, and you can still use it. Some of the more tender leaves and stuff you can pick. That's the deer tongue on the end there, and then some various leaf lettuce in there. So, and then in this row here, more tomatoes. These were the last ones I planted here of this group, and then there's another small section in the garden here I planted, but they're getting big too, overgrowing their fence as well. Here's the peppers in this bed here, and they're growing pretty good. They're coming on. I got a few peppers in there that are probably ready to pick. And then down here, this is my attempt at getting rid of some of the weeds in the paths. I take that and put it over in a hot sunny day, and hopefully I'm scorching the weeds underneath. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that works. I'm not sure it's going to work, but I'm giving it a try. These are the pole beans. Now I grow the yard-long beans, both purple and green. So this is the green Gita, I think they're called, Oriental Wonder. I'm sorry, Oriental Wonder beans, and then the red noodle beans are those ones there. And hopefully they grow up, they're starting to reach out now, and they're starting to grow up the vines. So this eventually will become a tent here before I get them. These are some of the last group of peppers and tomatoes. I kind of planted all in one bed. I just had a few left in the house, and I threw them in. I got some peppers coming up here. These are hot peppers. These are like mini peppers. As you can see, some of those growing in there. And then these are regular peppers in there. Actually, I think those are all hot peppers in that group. So up in here, we'll just start up on the top here. Robin over there. There's another bed of tomatoes that are getting really big and tall and high and getting out of hand. I tied them up a little bit earlier today, but like I said, as you can see, the weeds and the paths and stuff have just gotten out of hand. I just haven't had time to devote to them, to getting rid of the weeds like I normally have in the past. See if I see, there's some peppers there. I know there's some bigger ones in here somewhere. Somewhere in there's a bigger one. There's a bigger one in there. They're coming along, they're ripening. That's the whole bed of peppers there. And then down here, these are supposed to be onions, and I keep weeding tomato plants out of it. I've got a whole bunch of tomato plants coming up because I planted tomatoes in this bed last year, and I didn't apparently clean them out real good, and I'm getting a nice bumper crop of tomatoes, but I've already pulled a bunch of them out, and they just keep coming up in amongst the onions. And those are the last green onions I planted. They're white onions, but they're still pretty young yet. I put those in here a couple weeks ago. The week after I come back from Alaska, I stuck those in. I had one bag left. The carrots are coming pretty good. They're growing bigger. I don't know if they're getting any bottoms to them, but the plant tops are getting big. Then we have cilantro, which I've been picking and using, and more tomato plants. They've been invading that too. And then some more turnips in that area. Those ones are still pretty good yet. I've been managing to pick those. And over there, which I need to clean out, is my radishes that have grown and went to flower. And unfortunately, they came on while I was in Alaska. So when I got back, there was a few radishes that I could eat, but the rest of them were pretty much too big and too old to eat. But here's another huge bed of tomatoes that have sprawled and grown higher than the fence again. They're really really filling that in, as you can see. We got some nice tomatoes. You see a big green one there. There's got areas where they're actually got bigger, greener tomatoes than that. But there's some in there just coming on. So we got a bumper crop of tomatoes as long as they stay that way. I've got a little bit of blight going on. You may have noticed, if you've seen some of the other beds, this bed is not too bad at all. But I got a little blight going on. I've been spraying the last few weeks for. Unfortunately, we just had so much rain that as soon as you spray it, it's hard to find a day to spray it because we've had so much rain. And then this bed here is cucumbers, which I planted after I came back from Alaska. It was my last bed of cucumbers. But the bed that I originally planted this spring, I still have it covered. It's got some holes in it to kind of let some of the insects in, but I've been trying to keep a lot of the insects out, and they seem to be growing pretty good. I picked some cucumbers here, and there's one you can maybe see in there. Let me see if I can get you in there better. Cucumbers in there, but it's pretty much full of plants, so it seems to be doing pretty good. So I've been leaving the cover on just to see how that works. I've never done that before, so it's kind of an experiment to see if that helps out with the bugs, or if I get more or less, I don't know, we'll see. Over here amongst all these weeds, which I'm not real happy about, but I planted the corn before I left for Alaska. When I came back, it was all weeds. I've done some weeding, but it's just grown right back like crazy. So I got to get in there with the hoe and really give a good job here, the best I can for the corn. But it's coming up, it's growing. We'll see what I get out of it. Don't know if I'm going to get as much as I got last year. I actually think I have some cantaloupe coming up here from last year, because this was the spot where I planted cantaloupe. And then over here I got some pumpkins I threw in this year, and they're coming on. We'll see how the pumpkins go. I planted this section over here, corn, a couple weeks, and then a couple weeks later I planted that section over there. Unfortunately, the stupid mongo grass, or whatever they call it, is kind of hiding a lot of it right now. I've got to get in there and get it hoed up, but it's all in there. It came up good. It sprouted good. It's just kind of hidden in amongst all the weeds, which is not good, but it is what it is. Okay, that's going to do it for this tour of the raised bed garden. As you can see, I'm a little bit behind this year on my weeding and some of my hoeing and taking care of the garden. Being away a little bit put me back, plus not only that, it's been a lot of rain and stuff that has just made everything explode, which is good for the garden, but also good for the weeds. So just got a lot of catching up to do. So that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Catch up with me on Facebook. You can also email me at bbgardner@zoominternet.net. Send me any pictures or comments or something you got going on. Always nice to hear from you. So that's going to do it. If your back ain't hurting, you ain't working.